Holy shit. That was probably the craziest episode of the Vampire Diaries I've ever seen. Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the Vampire Diaries Season 5, Episode 22, the season finale called Home. This episode was amazing, and I was really expecting it to be amazing, especially after last week's episode. But I was kind of wondering, how can they top Stefan's death? How can they top it? And when I heard they were going to kill off 3 other characters, I'm just like, who else can die on this show? Who else you're going to kill? Turned out there were a lot of people that died, believe it or not. And you know what? I was really satisfied with this episode. This episode is all about kind of like, resetting the show. You know, a lot of people have said all 5 seasons has been the same thing, so now finally they have resetted the show, and next year it's going to be completely different. It almost reminds me of The Walking Dead, because the way they end the show is a lot like how they ended the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead in Season 4. You know, that definitely, it was a lot like that. So let's just get to this finale, because I thought it was a perfect finale. I was really, really into this finale. The 3 finales, I've loved all 3 finales that this week, you know. The originals, Arrow, now the Vampire Diaries, they've all been great. And this might be the best one out of all of them, just because of how great it was. And, you know, let's just get to it. So we know how Stefan died in the last episode. Caroline is holding Stefan's body, and she's crying. She has him on the sofa, and, you know, she's crying hysterically. Elaine and Damon come in, and as soon as they come in, Caroline says she couldn't leave him outside and asks about Bonnie's plan to bring people back. Damon says they will find a way. He covers his brother, says he needs to get him away from prying eyes. He covers his brother's body. Ghost Stefan watches them fight against the white light that tries to suck him away from them. What I like about this episode is we got some closure to Stefan. You know, even though Stefan is dead, we got closure to his character. We got to see his character one final time, and I thought that was great. You know, it pretty much gave us the closure that we needed. So he goes into the white light, tries to suck him away from them, but a hand grabs him to save him. And guess who saves him? Lexi. Lexi is back. Yes, Lexi was back in this episode, and you know what? It's honestly really funny because Lexi was back in the last finale, but I thought it was great that Lexi was back in this one as well, because I love their friendship personally. Lexi and Stefan is like Caroline and Stefan now, so I love that about Lexi. She tells Stefan that now she saved him from literal and metaphorical darkness, and says he owes her a beer. And Damon is enraged over his brother's death. He's so hysterical over it because he can't believe what happened, and he asks Bonnie why she failed. Bonnie says the traveler was sucked into oblivion. She says it's more than the spell, and also that they need a dozen travelers ready to overwhelm her. And Damon says, oh, well, we're going to be able to bring him back, right? And, you know, Bonnie says, no, that's not going to happen. And Damon says she needs motivation, and he says his brother is there, reminds her that she's on the line, too. Damon reminds her that Alaric and her Grams are, too. So Bonnie tells him that Enzo is there, too, and he calls him Butterfingers for letting the traveler go. Enzo says he has a plan. So, yes, Alaric, you know, was in this episode, and I thought that was great. One of the things I noticed about this episode is that, you know how Elena's the main character? This episode focused mainly on Bonnie and Damon. They were the 2 main people in this episode, and I thought that was fantastic the way they did that. It was kind of cool to see them kind of like circle away from the other characters. I definitely really enjoyed that, the whole thing. I thought that was definitely very well done. So he says that they need a witch to do the spell. Bonnie says she has someone, more or less. Luke is driving slow. Liv chews him out because Grandma passed them. He says no one is coming for them, but then Elena is in front of them and Caroline behind. So it's already really intense here. They have them trapped at this point. You know, they have them trapped, and Elena tells her that Stefan is dead, so they got what they wanted. Liv says she's sorry about it, and Elena says she's going to help bring him back. What I like about this scene is we're seeing that Liv and Luke are really bad, you know, really bad villains, because, one, their whole thing is completely, they got what they wanted, and basically what Elena and Caroline is, they're not letting them go. You know, they killed Stefan, and they are outraged about this. So, Liv says if both doppelgangers are alive again, the spell will reboot and all magic will be gone. Elena says it won't happen because it will have to kill all the travelers to boot the spell, and Caroline reminds Luke that Stefan saved her life, but he says he can't risk it. Caroline then breaks Luke's neck, killing him instantly to motivate Liv, and tells her that since he's now on the other side, she should help. And I thought that was awesome. Just like, yeah, Caroline being a badass. I mean, Caroline's not usually like a badass, but in that scene, she was a badass, and I thought that was awesome. I'm just like, yeah, Caroline. That's the kid. We need to see more of Caroline as a badass because, I mean, that was awesome right there. I definitely love that. So, Sheriff Forbes shows up to see Marcos. They discuss the snag they're dealing with, and I thought Sheriff Forbes was going to die in this episode, because, personally, I don't see the point of her character anymore. In this episode, I really did see the point of her character. They then move the town sign to where the spell starts. She says that they shouldn't have picked a town full of vampires. They bring out Tyler and Marcos, tell her that it's Julian in his body, and he betrayed them by killing Stefan and stopping the spell. Julian tells Marcos that he's no great leader, and Marcos says the spell eliminates spirit magic, but not earth magic. And Marcos explains that as soon as they bring Tyler across the spell line, his vampirism will be gone, and he'll be back to a guy with a broken neck and a werewolf gene. They drive him across the city line, his fangs pop out, but then they're gone. As soon as this happens, his eyes yellow, and then they're gone. His skin burns, his neck twists, rebroken, and he collapses to the ground. So Tyler's dead. And I was just like, holy shit, they killed Tyler. Not playing around in this finale. I mean, really, just this finale was just, it was so intense. It really was. Because they were killing people left and right, it seemed. The body count was very high in this episode. I'm going to say that. Very high body count. And you know what? I like seeing this. Because, as I said, this is kind of more of a restart episode. I'm going to get to that when we get to next season. But Sheriff Forbes, in the meantime, is horrified. She cannot believe what just happened. So Bonnie feels a twitch and says they have someone else they need to bring back, Luke. She says his traveler needs to show, and then Tyler shows up as a ghost. Because, you know, she has to bring back Luke. She does not know Tyler's dead, but then he shows up as a ghost. He asks how he's there because, you know, he was under Julian's thing, so he does not realize that he's dead. You know, he doesn't know anything that happened, and she says he's back to being him, and he's dead. Tyler asks if he's dead, and Bonnie says they can bring him back, which I'm just like, hello? You can bring Tyler back, but you can't bring Stefan back? What the fuck's wrong with you? Seriously, I was so upset about that, because I'm just like, Bonnie, what the fuck? Seriously, you can bring Tyler back, but not Stefan. It didn't make sense to me, but I guess it was okay. She tells him that at least his passenger is gone. He takes her hand and he passes to the other side. Jeremy reports the zone of the spell, and he tracked Ware's sensibility to kill vampires and so he can define the limits. They shoot a pic of the map to Caroline and Elena, and Matt and Damon plot mass murder. And I thought this was funny, you know. Damon's like, alright, so the first thing of class today, Matt says the sheriff's gas leak story to get people to evacuate is plausible, and shows him a gas line that runs under town. He wants to blow up the town, or at least part of it. He wants to basically blow up the town. So, Damon says Caroline needs to get her mom to gather travelers in a spot for about 10 minutes so they can turn on the gas and blow it up. They basically want to do this so that way the people in the travelers can't take over Mystic Falls. That's what they want to do. So, Lexi and Stefan are on a hunt for Alaric. You know, that's what they want to do. They want to find Alaric, and she asks why he never met her in Portland. He explains that he was locked up and drowned by Silas, and he asks what she wants to say to him, and because I forgot about this, at the end of last season, she said, you can always come back to visit me in Portland. But, you know, he was under the magic of Silas and everything, so that never happened. He asks why she wants to say to him, and she says Caroline, and he says what? Basically, she's telling him that, that him and Caroline definitely have a lot of chemistry, which, duh, it's been obvious that him and Caroline have a lot of chemistry since, like, day one, so, if they ever bring Stefan back, I think they're definitely setting up a Stefan-Caroline relationship if they ever bring him back, because you never know. They could bring him back next season, which I have a feeling next season will be their last, but yeah, basically, they see the sheriff and Marcos talk, and she offers an open bar for a traveler meeting. Stefan sees this and realizes there is some sort of plan afoot. Bonnie then talks to Jeremy and says she has to stay put so she doesn't blink out of existence. She tells him he needs to get to be Bruce Willis, and she says that she's a gateway, but once the travelers die, it will push the gate wider, and then the dead people that need to come back will come through her. So she says then that she will stop being the anchor, and he asks how she will come back. She tells him she's taking care of it. Stefan shows up, and it's not like he's not acting like himself. Bonnie realizes that it's Silas, and I'm just like, what? She then reminds Silas that he killed her dad, and he says he's there to help bring himself back as well, and tells her they need to let bygones be bygones. So, I like that we did get that closure with Silas, because really, we didn't get closure with Silas. Silas just died in that one episode, so I was like, Silas? What the... I mean, it makes sense to why Stefan referenced Silas, because, you know, Silas had to come back, but... Basically... Stefan and Lexi wander the school looking for Alaric. They wonder if he's moved on and found peace. Lexi says maybe she still has something to do, and Stefan says they need to make a pledge to find peace together if they end up stuck on the other side. She says they need to find a way back so he can get a first date with Caroline. She really sees a lot of chemistry between him and Caroline, and as I said, I do think they're setting up a relationship between him and Caroline if he ever does come back. Silas tries to teach Bonnie a spell to bring them all back. Elena and Caroline are there, and they can't see Silas since he's all ghostly, you know, because he's a ghost, and they can't see ghosts because they're not ghosts, obviously. Bonnie lies about who's helping and says it's an old spooky lady. Matt tells Jeremy it's ironic because they're going to blow up the whole place in town, dumb enough to hire them both. Jeremy says the Salvatores will make a reconstruction donation, and Matt says that if killing the Travelers accomplishes what they need... that's if killing the Travelers accomplishes what they need. So, they hear noise and revelry, and realize the Travelers are all gathered. They are drinking, they're partying, and Marcos tells the sheriff he didn't think that they would have a chance to speak. And she says, since they're not going to talk, she's going to accuvate as well. He wants to convince her to stay and keep her home there, and she says her home has a place to, her home has to be a place her daughter can come, but Marcos won't let her go. And that was why this episode was called Home. It's all about what is your home, kind of like Once Upon a Time, but, yeah. Damon tells Elena that Matt and Jeremy are going to blow up the grill, and then he tells her the truth. And I just thought this was an amazing scene here. I mean, oh my god, the Stefan Elena feels in this scene. I mean, the Damon Elena, the Delena feels in this episode were just, they were so much like, I went back shipping Delena in this episode because they did such a great job with their scenes in this episode. You know, they got back together in the last episode, so we had to see more scenes of them. Damon tells Elena that Matt and Jeremy are going to blow up the grill, and then he tells her the truth that someone has to set off the explosion. Elena says she doesn't want him to do it because it's a suicide mission, and he asks if he sees the future with her, and he says it's all he has seen the moment that he met her, and she asks why then he would go on a suicide mission, and he says it's only half of one because if he dies, he will get brought back with the others, and he tells her it's his choice and she has to respect it. He kisses her and tells her he promises to come back to her. He repeats his promise and then kisses her again. So he's basically telling her, you have nothing to worry about. I will come back and everything will be fine. So Enzo asks Bonnie if all is good at the tomb, and she says they are fine, but Silas is a crappy mentor. So they hear a whispery sound as the wind blows around, and Enzo says it's back. Silas comes out and says she's ready. Enzo's getting dragged away. The storm is starting. The explosion's gonna start soon. Silas and Bonnie try to help. They hang on to trees. She reaches out onto Silas, but then says bygones, and he flies away into the wind inside the crypt. Liv lights the candles and checks the time, 6:59, and begins chanting. Ghost Luke is there and says she can do it, and I like that scene because it did show that Luke was a good brother to Liv, even though Liv and Luke were terrible villains. As I said, you know, even though they failed, Luke was still a very supportive brother to Liv, so I enjoyed that. So the clock in town chimes 7. Matt and Jeremy burst open the gas main. They all turn on the valves and run off. The Travelers continue to party upstairs. Bonnie stares at the Bennett's grave and asks where her Grams is. She shows up finally, tells her not to rush her. Bonnie says she found a way, and Graham says she won't survive it. She tells her it's been her privilege to watch her grow. Bonnie's Terry and tells her to pass through when the gate opens, but Graham says she's staying. Bonnie says it's imploding. Graham says she's going to be fine. Hers found peace because she has made sure Bonnie will find hers. Bonnie doesn't understand, but Graham tells her to just know she looked out for her. They hug, and Graham tells her that she loves her and tells her to stay strong. They're both bawling. Bonnie tells her she loves her, and Stefan and Lexi are there. I thought that was just such a great scene because it really showed the love that Bonnie and Grahams have. I mean, there have been so many times when Bonnie and Grahams have met up. And I mean, it's been so many times in the show. And basically, you know, Bonnie's basically realizing that she is basically not going to be able to live anymore, and it's not going to work for her. So, Stefan and Lexi are there at the crypt now as well. So, the sheriff and Marcos sit at the table, and he asks if she's up to something. She asks if he smells gas. She says she thinks there's a leak, and when they go to investigate, he leans down to check the pistol, whips him, and then she texts the gang to do it now because she is in on it. We just found out she is in on it. And then Marcos wakes up, lunges for her. Damon gets a text from her. He's right across the city line, hops in his car, but then Elena does too. And she says she's respecting his choice. She understands what he's doing, but he has to respect hers too. She tells him she's all in, even though he reminds her she's about to revive her drowning. She's about to relive her death. She doesn't care because she loves him that much. And I just thought that was a great scene because it really shows the love between Damon and Elena. I mean, I know a lot of people say Damon and Elena don't have chemistry. This episode, they had a lot of chemistry. You can say that it is true love between them, and I thought that was great. And you know what? I know Stelena was, you know, a thing in the first, 3 seasons in the show, but Elena's no longer in high school. She's in college now. She's an adult, you know. Now when she's an adult, she's realized that Damon is her true love. They always say that the one you love in high school is not the one you're going to love throughout your entire life. Stefan was her high school love. Damon is her adult love. And I think that's really what this was all about. Elena starts to choke on water, and they clasp hands as they drive the car head-on into the grill. They crash through the window, goes up into a fireball. Liv chants, and Luke encourages her. Of notice to her, Bonnie stands in the woods as the travelers, Marcos first, march out of the woods. Marcos says he looks forward to continuing to come back through her no matter how many times her friends kill her. One traveler comes back through. Elena's there, and Damon is there too. And she tells them to pass through, then come back as fast as they can get back to their bodies. They agree and grab hands. Elena sees the charred wreckage at the grill, and then Alaric is there. So yes, Alaric is back. I was just like, Alaric's back, yes, because honestly, that death with Alaric, it was a good death, I will say that. You know, the biggest thing about that death was Elena's kind of killed Alaric, because seeing Elena dead, that's what killed Alaric, and now that Alaric knows that Elena's alive, he's alive now, and I thought that was great, and I'm so glad that Alaric is back, because now Elena finally has a father figure in her life. Elena has had nobody, you know. Jenna died in Season 2, and then Alaric died in Season 3. And Jenna and Alaric were basically her parents. You know, Alaric was the father figure in her life, and Jenna was the mother figure in her life. So now she has someone back for her, and I think that's great, because Elena really... If Alaric was back last year, she would not have had that whole bitchy thing last year, which I'm so glad that Elena was actually likable this season. I gotta give props to the writers for that, because that was great. I mean, last year I hated Elena, but this year I actually enjoyed her character. Alaric tells her to go home fast, promises to find Damon, sends him on his way. Damon is unconscious on the ground, but wakes to flickering lights. Damon finds the sheriff's body, tries to lift an obstruction off her. Alaric is there and helps. He tells him when he finally gets the girl, he shouldn't blow her up. Liv comes to, and Alaric thinks she will be okay. So... Liv chants, and then Luke runs out and says they will have to start now. Stefan says they have to wait on Damon, but Luke says no and grabs Bonnie. He comes back to life and then rushes to Liv, tells her to stop. She says she promised to help and continues. Bonnie tells Tyler to come on, but he wants to wait. Enzo heads through her and is back. He tells Caroline that he'll see her soon. Tyler comes through, and we have a nice little reunion with Tyler and Caroline. He hugs Caroline. He says it feels different because now we realize he's human. He's not a hybrid anymore. He's now human, and you know what? It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because if Tyler dies next season, he's gone. There's no coming back, because Tyler's human. So, if Tyler dies next season, he's gone. So, yeah, that was definitely a really big thing. Bonnie calls out to Stefan, Lex, and Lexi, and she tells him he has to go. Elena runs up and says she can't find Damon and won't leave without him. She is so concerned about Damon. And you know what? This was an amazing scene here. I love this scene so much. You know, I just thought that, Nina Dobrev's performance, you know, in these next few scenes with Elena were great. It's not yet, but there's a really great scene coming up. Basically, she says no, but Bonnie grabs her, forces her through. Bonnie starts coughing up blood. Stefan touched her to help, but that makes him pass through. Bonnie tells them that it's okay and says she can do it. Lexi calls to Bonnie and asks if it's killing her. She tells Lexi she can do it. Marcos comes and tries to pass through, but he and Lexi struggle, and then she throws him into the beyond, and he's sucked away. She tells Lexi to come on, but she says she can't come through because it might kill her, and then Damon couldn't pass through. So Lexi gives herself over to peace and tells the power that she's sucking people in it, that it won't get her. And I thought that was fantastic, because she did that for her friend, Stefan. She did that for Stefan, and she wanted Damon to be able to pass through. She knows how much Damon matters to Stefan, and I just thought that was great of Lexi to do. I thought that was fantastic. So, the sad thing is we're never going to see Lexi again, but, I mean, it was great to see one last scene of Lexi and Stefan. I mean, it was just great. Damon finally shows up with Alaric, and she touches him, but then Liv stops cheering for a moment. Luke starts cheering with her. Bonnie tells Damon that Elena made it through. She touches him, but nothing happens. He says, well, will you look at that? Elena rushes into the crypt and sees that Liv has stopped. She says she can't stop because Damon is still on the other side. Bonnie says it's too late and they missed their one shot. And here we go. This is the amazing scene with Elena. I just thought Nia Dobre's performance in this scene was amazing. I thought she did a great job here. Definitely, those awards that she gets, she definitely does deserve them. Because Elena starts breaking down. She is crying hysterically because she does not know where Damon is. Damon means so much to her, and she's so upset because Damon's not on the same side as her. And basically, she realizes that if Damon's on the other side, he's gone. He's gonna die. Bonnie tells her that Damon is there and that she can say goodbye. She tells them she leaves to give them privacy. And then Caroline comes to sit beside Stefan. He says he lost them both, two people he's known the longest in the world. But the good thing is that Stefan is back. So, you know, Stefan's not dead. And I thought that was great because Paul Wesley, fuck you, seriously. Paul Wesley, he said Stefan is donezo and Stefan's back. So, what is wrong with you, Paul Wesley? Seriously. Basically, she asks about Lexi, and he says she never came out, and he knows that it has to be her that stopped Marcos. Says it was her unfinished business. He says Damon finally had everything he wanted, and he was happy. Stefan says he should be there, and hangs his head to cry, and Caroline comforts him. As I said, I do think they are setting up a relationship between Caroline and Stefan. I mean, come on. The chemistry between them in this episode, just come on. Nina Dobrev, as I said, gave a great performance in this next scene. Elena's crying hysterically. She tells Damon that he lied to her. He reaches out to her and says he wouldn't apologize even if she could hear him. She begs him not to leave her. He says he has no choice, but that she's the greatest thing that has happened to him in his 173 years. And I thought that was a great line there because he's lived for 173 years, and Elena's the greatest thing that's happened. He says knowing he died being loved by Elena is the epitome of a good life. She slumps to the floor and lets her grief flow. Damon says he loves her. Elena says she wants him to come back to her. She cries and cries, and it's really, really sad. And here comes the next sad scene. From here, it's just like sad scene, sad scene, sad scene. I mean, it really is sad. So, Bonnie then tells Jeremy that she lied. She can't come back. She says when the other side goes, so will she. She'll be gone. And she will be gone, and there's nothing she can do about it. And, basically, she says, that she didn't want to ruin their last days together. She tells him she died the day after graduation. All the other time has been a gift. She tells him to take care of Elena, and tells him she loves him. He tells her not to hang up, but she does. Matt comes in and tells Jeremy the gas line is off. He says he has to get Bonnie and runs out, because he does not want Bonnie to leave. He has to get Bonnie back, and, Elena's sobbing, and Alaric is there and tells him that Damon is gone, and she tells him that Damon is gone. He hugs her as she cries, and I just thought that was great, because again, Alaric is back to comfort Elena, and Elena now has a father figure in her life, and I just thought that was great. They hear Jeremy screaming for Bonnie outside. They go out to see what's going on. Jeremy runs up screaming for her. He sees her for a moment, and then she's gone, and it's on the other side with Damon, and this scene was just, oh my god, just wow. This next scene, Eon Somerhalder and Kat Graham. Wow. This next scene, I loved it. We see, the last scene is Damon and Bonnie. Lights are coming out of the trees and everything starts shaking. And Damon says it's going to be destroyed. You know, the other side is going to be gone. And she says it is. She says there's a million other people they'd each rather be with right now, but they take each other's hands for comfort because that's all they can do. You know, they haven't really had any interaction. I thought that was great. You know, Damon and Bonnie, they haven't had a lot of interactive with scenes. So I thought that was cool that they gave them this last scene. She asks if he thinks it will hurt, and he says he doesn't know. The lights and wind escalates until it's all bright whites, and then there's only silence. We don't see them anymore, and then it ends. So, they're gone. That's it. Damon and Bonnie are dead. And it's permanent death, because Paul Wesley even said, although I don't trust Paul Wesley after what he said that this time these deaths will, in fact, be permanent. And you know what? I'm okay with it. I really am, because the thing is, now we have a new kind of like, as they said, a restart, a complete 180 in the show. They took a complete 180 in this episode. You know, it's a complete redo of the show. The whole Travelers thing is done. Damon and Elena's love plot done. The whole Delana triangle done. The whole Silas thing done. Bonnie's whole thing with bringing people back done. That is all done, and now it is such a completely different show. Because now all we have Elena, Stefan, Caroline. I mean, Stefan's back, look good. Caroline, we have Tyler. We have Matt, of course, Jeremy, and now we have Alaric, which is great. I'm so glad that Alaric is back because, seriously, Alaric should have never died. He was just such a great character, and I'm so glad Alaric is back. Killing off Damon, I know a lot of people are upset about this. What do I think is going to happen now that Damon is dead? I do think eventually they will bring Damon back. I don't think they'd just let him die because that is who Elena loves. Elena's not going to just go back to Stefan. If she goes back to Stefan next season, I'm going to be really pissed. I want to see Stefan and Caroline together. They set that up so well in this episode. You know, Lexi kept saying, you and Caroline have a lot of chemistry. You and Caroline have a lot of chemistry. You and Caroline, you know, she kept saying it over and over. Things like that. So, I definitely feel like they're setting up a relationship there. A couple other things I do want to know, though. Where do they go next? Where do they go next? I don't know where they're going next. We'll have to see. But I also loved Elena's character in this episode because for once I felt bad for her. I haven't really felt bad for her in a very long time. The last time I felt bad for her was Season 3. That is when I felt bad for her. This season, I haven't exactly felt bad for her. You know, she had a couple things going on that I felt bad for her, but not like this. She just lost the love of her life. He's gone, and there's nothing she can do about it. And you know what? I thought it was great what Damon did. It really proves that he does love her because he sacrificed himself for her. I thought that was fantastic. Also, I love the closure of Lexi in this episode. I thought that was great as well. That was really, really well done, and I'm really looking forward to that. But Alaric, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do on the show. I'm really glad that Alaric is back, and I'm looking forward to that a lot. I think it's great. Stefan being back, fantastic. I'm very happy Stefan is back. I didn't think they'd kill off Stefan, and they didn't. Bonnie dead for good? Yes. Bonnie's dead for good. I'm pretty sure she is. Let's think of the 100 times Bonnie has died. Finally, that seemed like a closure scene for Bonnie, and this whole episode was very Bonnie-centric. And we all know that when an episode, just like last week's with Stefan, they die. So Bonnie is gone. She's dead. There's nothing they're going to do about that. The whole Jeremy thing, I thought that was definitely very interesting, the way that whole thing worked out. And, yeah, so I'm thinking next season's going to be the last season, just because the way they ended this season. I feel like next season's going to be... We had a lot of closure in this episode, so by far, this was the best finale the show has given us. I mean, I didn't think they'd be able to give us as good a finale as they did last year, but holy shit, this finale was so amazing. I was crying. I was crying in that scene with Elena. I was crying at the end. But the ending was just like, what the fuck? Because it just went white all of a sudden. But then I realized, oh god, they're dead. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Do you guys think Damon and Bonnie will come back? I really don't know. But let me just say, I know a lot of people have disliked this season. And I can see why. I mean, there were a couple episodes in the first half of the season. I will admit, first half of the season, I was kind of bored. I was. First half of the season, I was just like, yeah, you know, it's just okay. Second half of the season, You know, when Catherine, the whole thing with Catherine was great, but after Catherine died, I thought the show got really, really, really good. It went back to its roots, and I thought that was great. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to next season. I've really enjoyed this season overall. And overall, I thought it's been a fantastic season. I'm really looking forward to next season. I'm looking forward to what they do with next season. Because, you know, half of the characters are gone now. So that's why I'm thinking next season's going to be the last season. Also, Tyler is human. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Tyler now that he's human. Is he going to try to go back to Caroline? I don't know. I hope not. I really want Stefan and Caroline together now. As far as Elena, I think Elena and the love interest thing, that's done. She loves Damon. She made that clear in this episode that she loves Damon. And we finally saw that she loves Damon. And I'm so happy they finally addressed who, you know, that Damon really does love her. And I thought that was just great. So yeah, overall, this was an amazing finale. I loved it. I thought everything was fantastic in this finale. I just thought it was a really, 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 really great finale. And out of the 4 finales I've seen, oh my god, guys, this is hard. Because Once Upon a Time, great finale. The original's amazing finale. Arrow, amazing finale. This was an amazing finale. I think this takes the cake for the best finale because everything that happened in this finale was fantastic. I loved everything that happened in it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. Did you like the closure? Where's the gang going to go next? What's going to happen with everyone? Now that Alaric is back, what's going to happen with that? I'm very excited that Alaric is back. I was hoping they bring back Lexi too, but you know what? We had to have Stefan mourn over something more than just Damon being done. I thought it was kind of cool. In the beginning, Damon was mourning over Stefan, and now Stefan's mourning over Damon. So I thought that was definitely very well done. But that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, I've loved this season. I thought it's been a fantastic season. And it's too bad that the show's over because I've been enjoying this show a lot this year. I'm very happy that they've done that. You know, I'm very happy they pulled me back in this year with this season. So I'm really looking forward to next season, which, as I said, probably is going to be their last because, you know why? I honestly do want it to be their last because I feel like after 6 seasons, it's not as good anymore. You know, there are a lot of shows, I think 6 seasons is the best for the show, and that's where they should end it. Just end it at 6 seasons, and I'll be fine with that. But that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for, I don't know, probably for Orphan Black. So, I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.